Hello everyone. Am I audible to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hi, I am Kanishk, and I'm a master student and working as a teaching assistant under Professor Mark. So, I will be taking this session on basic Python, which can be taken as a fresher also, or basic introductory course. Or so, what we will be covering in this specifically. So, we are covering starting from data types, which will lead to all iterative and conditional statements, followed by we will look into some overview of some libraries like pandas, numpy, and matplotlib. So this will be gonna session for that. And so before starting, I just want to know how many do have a like basic knowledge of Python. I mean, like basic working or I mean.
This is, excuse me, this is James. I have a basic understanding.
Okay.
You know, I know what an integer
Okay.
and a float is, you know.
Yeah.
So.
So yeah, we're just gonna have an overview of everything, starting with the data types and everything. And then we will try to deep into Python libraries, like statistical NumPy, and we can overview some graphs which will be helpful you in the project. So this is the overview of the session. And if you have any questions at any moment, just let me know. Okay, I will try my best to answer it. Okay, so shall we start?
Absolutely, thank you.
Yeah. So we will start with basic data types. That is number. So we have different numbers over here, which is in mathematics known as integer. Integer is used for the number which lies from minus infinity to plus infinity. And basically, we will use myInt. We have assigned a variable which is known as myInt2 is equal to 6. And what we are going to doing, we are trying to print the value of myInt in a form of value, and we are trying to get that particular value of what sort of data type that is. Or so we will run this code, and it will give you output like this. Value is equal to 6, so it's printing the value, and it belongs to the class and which is integer class. Now what I will do, I will try to play with this thing. So suppose I want to change my formatting here. This is for the people who are new to Python. So this is the printing statement. So print statement is used for to get an output of from something. If you want to print something, or if you want to know the value of some kind of, so it's an IO formatting thing. And suppose I want to know, let me give the statement, the value of the variable myInt is. And then I'm going to run the code once again, and this is used to, and in this way I got the value of myInt as this thing as 6. Similarly, it has another data type for numbers, that is float, which is used for decimal values. So suppose I am giving any integer. Let's start with basic ones, that is 6.0, which is a decimal, and 5354. I have taken a decimal value like 6.054. Now, what will I try to do? I will try to print the value of this variable, my float, as well as what type of data set it is. So if I run the cell, so I will get a value. That value is equal to 6.054, and its type, which class it belongs to. So it is type class belong to. So let's have some basic features like addition and subtraction. We can try to do it here. So I will declare another variable. I will assign another variable like my float 1 is equal to 2.5, and I will try to print as result of these two addition as like my float 1 and added with my float 1, and I will try to print this result, and then we'll try to know what is the class of that particular result. So let's see how it rolls, and it's going to be the error that you have not declared the my float 1, because I committed mistake I have done, because it's type sensitive. So I have given my float 1 here, which is name defined, which is not defined, and I have given underscore. So I am missing underscore here. Well, I will try to provide it once here. Let runs it's once again and see. So I got the code for this, and I got the output that the addition of my float and my float 1 is 8.554, and it also belongs to the class float. So we are trying to just going through over the basic data types, which will be helpful. Now, what we will try to do, we will try to have a basic division and note that division of int, how the basic division of int and as float done. So I will try to run this still. So it can be clearly visible that the division operator returns the value in a form of decimal, but it doesn't belong to any subclass, and its return type be always float. So it can be clearly visible that 1/1, if I'm going to print it, 1 is an integer here. Again, 1 is an integer in denominator here, but its return value we are getting as 1.0, which is float type. So it is also known as, moving forward, we're going to see the typecasting also. Similarly, now be aware of that we are using call as binary floating pitfalls. So let's see, we have taken as one variable as the sounds VAL, well, and we have given three numbers, 0.1 plus 0.1 plus 0.1. Now, what we will try to do, we will try to print whether it is equal to 0.3 or not. So this is the major difference. I mean, what happened here, that it has addition value. The first print statement check whether it is true or false. So 0.1 plus 0.1 plus 0.1 results in as 0.3, and so 0.3 is equal to 0.3. So it should be true, but the thing is that due to floater statement, it has a value as 0.3 to the belongs to so many zeros and then 4. So that's why the val is not equal to 0.3, and we have taken this thing in binary floating point. So this is type of a loophole in Python, but we have to look into it, and you should be aware of while you are doing projects. Similarly, let's look into the floor division, some basic operators. So yeah, so let's go on with the basic floor division here. So what is floor division? Do anyone knows what is floor division here? I mean, Any idea?
Doesn't it like eliminates the remainder when you're doing division?
Yeah. It eliminates the remainder. Yeah. So what will be the output of this particular cell? 7 floor division 5. Anyone?
It's gonna be 1, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's 1. So what are we doing basically here? If we divide 7 by 5, it's a bit, so it will provide you the quotient of the remainder, like 5. If we divide 7 with 5, so we will get 1 as a quotient. Similarly, for this is the modulus operator. So modulus operator will return the value of remainder. So when we check, we will run this cell. So if we divide 7 by 5, we will get the remainder 2. If we change its value, like if we take some another value like 216 modulus operator, modulus is equal to divide by 34. And if you try to print this value, then it will be giving us 12. So in this way, it will provide you the reminder every time. So if you need, if you want the reminder of anything in the code or in function, so you can use this modulus operator. Similarly, it's double asterisk marks are used for power. So 2 to the power 3. So it stands for 2 into 2, 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2. That is 8. 2 to the power 3. So if you look into it, you will get an 8. So this is the use of basic modulo floor division and power operator. Now, one interesting thing I want to show about you this is use of decimal. So basically decimal is an inbuilt library in Python, which around 2 KB. It's store memory. And if you when you install this, it is already inbuilt in the Python. So what we are going to do? We are trying to print the and using typecasting. So we are trying to convert the decimal into string, and it is the most powerful feature of the Python. I mean, you don't have to go for some sort of write 3 to 4 lines of code. You have to just put string format string, and it will convert the entire string into that particular format. So I'm trying to run this thing. So now you can see first. Now I have given the value as decimal. So 0.1 as any random decimal value which we get, which is like 0.110 and till up to this end. But for the string, as it is known as, we have converted this format from string is the decimal 0.1 which we have given. We will try to look into the format of this particular variable from str. And after trying to write the code, oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to give prints. Yeah, so its class belong to the decimal. So this is the general class which are you using a lot during your project assignment. So this is the basic functionality of decimal. Let's try to add all the sums and how it works on basic mathematical operations. So you can see what we did. We have converted my decimal variable value into the decimal 0.1, and then we have given the sum of all decimals. My decimal, we have called it thrice and added it, and we have checked whether the value of sum of decimal is equal to decimal or not. and it returns true because the value of decimal is 0.1. So if we have added 0.1 three times, it will provide you the value 0.3. So 0.3 is equal to 0.3. That's why it is true. So in this way, this is the problem. And for Python particularly, you will be using two tools. If you are doing online, I mean, if you are using Google Colab, so Google Colab is much very better option for doing projects, because if someone has problem with hardware configuration in particular system, so the Google Colab has inbuilt, it provides you GPU also. So if you are if it is heavy tool based computing, then you should go with Google Colab better than Jupyter Notebook for using Python. So this is the particularly what we have seen this thing. Now, what we will do, we will try to look into the Python conditional statements like for loop and while loop.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
That decimal function you showed us,
Yeah.
what is a application of that? Does it just like convert strings,
Yeah, so actually,
decimal class types?
yeah. So the decimal class, see, the decimal class type is completely belong to float values, but that decimal,
Right.
if you have given somewhere typecasting in your code, and somehow that decimal value or float value is converting into any other data type like integer or string. So, and you have initialized that particular float value above, I mean, before the code, then the Python compiler will make sure that that value doesn't convert it to any other data type. It will be in decimal only. I mean, it should be in float only. So this is the main thing done by decimal library.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Do you have any questions at any point? Like, yeah. So let's understand the for loops first. Yeah. So for loop, have anybody have any doubt at any point? Just let me know and we can move ahead with the doubt first. So that's what. So let's start with the for loop here. So it is the looping list. So what we are doing, we are trying to looping through a particular, we are iterating over an list by declaring a variable known as my underscore list. So I have declared a list here which contains 4 integers 1, 2, 3, 4 and 3 string based objects like Python, is and need. So what I'm doing, I'm trying to iterating over this list using a local variable known as item. So what will be the output? Does anybody want to answer this question? Okay, so I think I have to do this. So if we execute this, it will print all the particular statements in this object. So what I did, I iterated through all the members present in the list, and like 1, 2, 3, 4 Python is need. In this way, it is the basic functioning of for loop. Now we will use break. So we will use break if you want to stop the execution of the loop at particular point. So break is used in like this. So what condition I'm giving? We are using the same variable over here above, like my list, and in the my list, if the item is equal to Python, then it will come out of the loop and it will declare the items which are already present in that over that iterating condition. Like it will start with the my list. It will start iterating with 1, 2, 3, 4, and as soon as the item is equal to Python, it will break and it will just declare the first 4 members of the list. like this. Now, if you want to exit the code, if on the string suppose is, so now it will take under the consideration Python also, and it will exit when the value when the item is equal to is. See, so here you can see that now Python is also included in the list, and in this way we can move forward with continue. So now continue is the next item with it will directly jump to the inside loop, and so continue is to reach to the next item without executing the lines occurring after continue inside the loop. We will try to use for this particular cell. Now what I did, it skips the particular part. As you can see that it is starting the my list has starting with 1, and here it skipped the 1, and after that it prints everything which is present in that particular list. We can do with another thing also, like I will give 3 over here. Oh. And let's try. So now what we'll do, as soon as it will print it starts from 1 2, and it will skip the 3 because we don't want that 3 should appear in the output, and then it will reach to the 4 Python is need. So in this way it will declare like this, 1 2 4, and the 3 skipped, Python is need. Similarly, we will use enumerate for indexing. So it is used to, if you want to index some particular items in the that list, so you have to use enumerate method. So here you can see the value of this thing, that value 1 in the list belongs to index 0. So enumerate always starts with the value 0, and it is known to us that array or list always starts from 0 till n-1. So the indexing always starts with 0. So it provide the value 1 to this thing. Similarly, indexing value 1 to the value 2, ending at n-1. That is total number of variables over here are I think 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So 7. So n is equal to 7, and if we deduct 1 from it, so n-1 will be 6. So at the end of this thing, indexing is equal to 6, it will provide the value need. Now, another important topic that you will require while you're doing your project is dictionaries. So basically, dictionaries has keys, and each key has particular value. So you can access or you can iterate over a particular dictionary by using that key. So if you want to print the particular value, so it will print as hacker age name. So these are the keys which we can obtain from the particular region. Similarly, if we want to start with if you want to both the values in particular iteration, so you can provide key value in the dictionary items, and dot items is the method which is used to iterate over a particular region. And we are going to print both key and values in this format. So the hacker key belongs to true, age belongs to the value 72, and key name belongs to John Doe. These are the particular famous methods which will be you are going to use in your project. So just we are overviewing these methods only. If you have any doubt, just let me know at any point of time. Okay, now we are going to range. So range is used to go over to access all the members in a particular list. So the code is very simple for number in range 5. So it will start with 1 2 3 4 5, and it will print all the numbers like this. But the thing is that it starts with 0 because indexing starts from 0 to the n minus 1. So we have given 5 as n, so n minus 1 will be 4. Now in this particular code, it will be in the range from 2 to 5. So 2, 3, 4, and excluding 5. 5 will be excluded because it is the end indentation for the particular method. Similarly, can anybody want to know what is the output of this particular cell? Everybody asleep, I thought. So the output of the program will be, it is for the even number with a step size of 2. So it is the start, stop, and save, and it is a step. So it will skip every second item and it will declare like this till 10. You can change the step size here also. If I want to give like 3, and if you look at it, so it will give me 0, 3, 6, 9. So it's an multiple of this thing. Now, in this way, we have learned all the basics which will be used in the particular format. One thing I want to share with you, all of you guys, to remember the basic string manipulation techniques. And in that particular manipulation techniques, you should know how to reverse a string. So suppose I am declaring a string over here with a variable like string 1 is equal to I am living in New York. And if you want to reverse the string, what will gonna be out? How are you gonna reverse the entire string in once? Any guesses for that? So what will we gonna do? We will print the string in the format of str -1. So we are using slicing over here. And if you want to know the output, so it will take us time. Type object is not suitable. Okay.
I think it should be string 1.
Yeah. Yeah. So you see the entire string is reversible now. So Croy, when, any, Neville, Ma, I. It's a reversible string. So it is a very important feature if you want to remember. So it is the most easiest method you can do using string in iterations. So this is the last topic for the basic Python. Now we will try to deep dive into the basic Python libraries, and we are trying to plot some graphs on the basis of that. So let me take a new cell over here. So I will import some libraries. That is pandas. So if you have any doubt at any moment of time, while using libraries, just refer the documentation every time. So these are the documentation which are given in depth, which will provide you in-depth information about anything. Okay, so if you're and try to do problems based on thing, and it has a PDF version also. So what I'm trying to make a point here is, if you have any doubt, if you're stuck on something, try to refer the documentation as much as possible, because if you read anything at any moment of time, it will provide you a new information. I mean, if you can do with method 1, you will get an idea of 3 methods more. So I think documentation is the every time is the best option to go for any Python library. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to import all the basic libraries which are used for data analysis, starting with pandas. Oh, sorry, NumPy. So import NumPy as NP. Similarly, I will import pandas as well. Pandas as PD. Import matplotlib. Dot pyplot as PLT. Import Seaborn as assets. So let's understand why we are using these particular libraries. First of all, so matplotlib and Seaborn are used for data visualization. It helps you to understand the graph, what sort of data is it possible, what sort of particular insights we can get it, like using heat map, box plot, and basic data analytical tools. Similarly, we use pandas to read some sort of data files, and NumPy stands for numerical Python analysis. So it helps us to, it has different methods which help us to compute the mathematical operations more quickly. So let's move with the code. Next thing. So what I'm gonna do, I'm trying to take one particular data for map plotting some graphs, and so using np.range, we will try to plot some graphs over iterating over some values like 0.0, 2.0, and the step size should be 0.01, and s is equal to 1 plus np dot sign into so what we have did here, we have taken a random value of t as a variable, in which we have iterating it over from 0, starting from 0 to till 2 with step size of 0.01, and we will trying to execute an graph for sinusoidal wave, that is sine function. So we are using np variable. Np is a data frame for declared for NumPy. So we are using its sine method and we have written a function for this thing. And now we will trying to plot a graph for this thing. So PLT is a data frame for matplotlib library, and we are declaring some plots method, which is a method of matplotlib library, and it is used to basically it will if you have declared just like that, so it will give you a blank graph, nothing else. PLT.subplot x was, and we will trying to set some values like ax dot set x label. Label is what we are tying, so it will shows the what quantity we have taken on x-axis. And similarly, we will provide it y label. is equal to, let's take volt. It's a voltage sinusoidal function. So we will, and its SI unit should be in megawatt. And let's provide a title to the graph. Matplotlib. Demo. Then we will provide a grid function. So it will help you to scale the particular mapping of the function. And at the end, we will save this entire graph in a form of figure. So we have to provide fig dot save fig, and let's provide any file name .png or any image format like JPEG, but prefer for PNG file because it is an inbuilt file format for particular library, and this will help you in making report also in the project. So in this way we have to show the particular thing. So let's go through once what we have done here. So I have declared T, where we are using scaling function here as numpy function as arrange, and it will start from 0.0 to start till the end at 2.0 with a step size of 0.01. Then we have provided a basic voltage function which has a sinusoidal wave, as we know, and it has given a function as t. So here dot pi is used as the pi value 3.14. Then we have started with matplotlib. So we have declared two variables, fig comma ax. So these two are used to make the subplots, and ax variable is going to plot t comma as using x comma y xs. So x will be going to be t, and y will be going to be s. Then we have, this is the basic code to write about the information, to provide information in the graph. So we have taken x label as time and y label as voltage, and at the beginning of the graph there will be matplotlib demo. It will show as to provide more information, and to save the figure we have used test.png file. So the file, I would prefer to always go with PNG file format because it's easy to use, and it is it will take less time in computing the code. And now we will run this code, and to show, the show function is used to plot the entire graph using all this particular cell. So if I going to run this thing, there is something related to name error. I have given MP, okay. NPF, something wrong here. Oh yeah. Start with one over again. I will run this code. Then this one. It is showing some sort of, just a minute.
Sir, I think maybe range is spelled wrong.
Yeah, I think so, but still, I mean, I have declared ARR, but still it is not working. Just a minute, I have to look into it once. 0.01, 0.0, and s is equal to np dot send. AX plot has not yielded plots. Okay, that is for sure. I don't know why I'm getting this error. Reason. So we are getting this error, and it's forming a basic plot, but it's not showing the function. So I have taken grid also over here. Okay, and title. Let's to run this code. Do anyone help me and rectify this error? Actually, I'm not sure about this one. And oh, it should be plots. It shouldn't be plot. Yeah. Oh, thank God, I finally rectified what wrong I'm doing. So what I did, guys, I've plotted plots first of all. That's why it's showing error like this. And it's showing that access subplot object has no attribute plots because in the default method is plot. So sorry for that thing. So in this way, you will get the output. So now compare the output for this thing. So what we have given title as matplotlib demo. So it is showing a matplotlib demo over here. We have given y label as voltage, which is in mega volts, and time on axis respectively. Then we have tried to make an basic function. It's a sinusoidal wave function. As some of us know that the voltage is it's a sinusoidal function which lies in the region of from -1 to 1. So that's okay. And we have declared a function over. We have edited that function over here. And in this way, you have to make some basic plots over here. Similarly, let's try it for another function. Let's try to dive into like another function. Do you have any doubts over here? What we have did here, like, so you can ask.
One question I have,
Yeah.
you know, you have looks like a function save fig and test.png. Where does it save to?
Okay, so taste.png, it will.
Or is it right there? Do we just like right click and just save it out from the display?
No. It will be saved in a file taste.png. So if I look into the file, so it will be saved on my system by this name, taste.png.
Okay.
Like
All
that.
right.
And
All
if
right, very good. Thank you.
provide a particular part to it, like a particular folder in your system, as I'm doing on Google Colab, so it will be going to store into my Google Drive. But if you are doing on Jupyter Notebook and you have provide a particular path name, then this particular image is going to be saved in that folder. So in this way, you don't have to look into. I mean, you have to save every time the folder. It will save your time. So that's what this is. That's why it's beneficial.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's try to plot another multiple subplots in one graph with simple hybrid. So again, we will write a function for this. Yeah. So I'm trying to import once again the files, import libraries so it will be helpful for all of you. Import matplotlib.py as plt, import pd. Let's run one over this one thing and let call for another block. So what we are gonna do this time, we are trying to plot two graphs in one complete diagram. So let's see how it gonna be. We will call for line space method. So line space will provide you a range, whether from what will the minimum value you want to start your graph to the maximum value, like that. X2 is equal to NP (2.4). All right. Similarly, we will declare two y variables, one for each diagram. Y1 is equal to, so let's now this time we will try to go for another function, maybe cos function here. So 2 into np into np dot pi. So I am calling once again the inbuilt pi value over here, which is provided in Python. Oh, sorry, NumPy library. And we will try to plot two graphs and we will try to compare the exponential, how exponential values work over here. So I will call np dot exp. Exp is for exponential function minus x1. This is a random mathematical function I have written, in which what I did, I have called for cos function first of all. And in cos function, I have declared this thing, and I'm trying to call another function using exponential method here, and I'm trying to pass minus x1 over here. So it is a negative exponential terms. And similarly, I'm going to give it y2 is equal to np dot cos 2 into np dot pi. Once again, we have declared x1, x2, and y1, y2 are four random variables. So y1 will be y1 and y2 are for y-axis, and x1 and x2 are x2 are for x-axis respectively. Okay. So again, we will declare fig here, and now this time, what we want to do, we will try to take two axial positions, because we are just drawing two graphs in one particular diagram. For it is generally used to save some space, or if you want to compare something. So that's why what we are doing over here. Comma 2 is equal to, again I'm going to call subplot method. Comma 1 fig dot set by label, and we will give us damped oscillation. So it's an example of damped oscillation, how the pendulum oscillation works in a form of electrification DC motor. So it's physics, so just don't dive into it as of now. So this is for the first graph. What we have declared, we have given two variables for ax1 and ax2 to declare thing with respect to subplots library. And now we will initialize our first graph ax dot plot x1 comma y1, and I'm trying to give it as a pattern like O minus. So I will teach in what the O minus do here. And another one I will going to provide is ax1 dot yeah. So it is for damped oscillation. Sorry, for stake I will take it from here, and we can give a subtitle for this particular thing, that is fig dot title, because the graphs you have to provide a information as much as you can to increase the readability of the code. And this thing also matters, because in projects, if someone assigns and they don't know what are you particularly showing in that graphs, then you are gonna lose your points. So but that's why I'm focusing on this particular informative things like subtitle or declaration of this thing like X label and Y label. So be aware of this thing. I mean, you should be more aware of this thing. So it you won't give a chance to lose marks in specific. Anyway, so AX1 is now is the graph we are going to plot here. AX1 dot plot X1 comma Y1, and O is the pattern which we are using. It will show like iterative thing O dot, which will be seen in a minute. And similarly, I am going to plot AX plot X2 comma Y2 with a proper and similar pattern. I'm going to, you can give any pattern, but there are some patterns, I mean, which are already existing and they looks good on graphs. So I'm trying to use them. And again, we are going to give a label. So it will be in your habit also. Time, which is in seconds. And okay, we're to do this. This is X label, and we will try to give Y label as well. Y label. This which will shows as undamped oscillation. And at the end, we will show as PLT show. So for us, again, what we have did, we have declared two variables, X1 and X2, and we have provided their range. So you can hover over the line space and you can see what parameters are involved in that particular method. So line space is a bit basically provide you written evenly spaced numbers over a specific interval. So if you want to know about what that particular method do, so it is a good option in Google Colab. In Jupyter Notebook, it runs somehow differently. Similarly, if I want to see what the cost method do in NumPy, so now see, you can see the particular parameters which are involved over here. So, and it will provide you a cosine element wise. I mean, it's a type to, it's an information that provides that it is used for cosine function. Similarly, if I want to understand the subplots, then it provides me all the information which is related to the subplots. So in this way, if you have any doubt related to this thing, so you can just hover over or you can just pause over that and it will provide you all the list of parameters and what that particular method do. So let's run this function. I hope it will be some error. Has no attribute line space. Okay. And it is giving me an error as line space, has no attribute as like that. So let's run over it once.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the X1, it is LIN. It should be E.
Yeah.
First.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thanks, Priyanka. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's spelling mistake. It's not, you know. Then again, we encountered an error. So you can see we have got one graph over here, but we are trying to plot another graph here. So figure this has no object as attribute Y label. Just a minute. Not set fig, not set Y label. Can anybody notice what's going wrong?
Maybe it's AX1 dot set and not fig dot set. I don't know. Like you got AX2 dot set down below.
Oh yeah. So I think you guys are good at debugging.
Hopefully, I make a lot of bugs.
So yeah, so see, you can compare both these both these graphs over here. So what I'm trying to convince you guys that if you are plotting a graph in your project report or in your Jupyter notebook, try to add as much as information as you can, because at the end it also carries some marks. Because if you don't provide any information, like suppose if I got these two graphs and I don't have any information related to like y label, that is this is damped oscillation and undamped oscillation, then I don't have any choice. It might be possible that someone cut your marks in this specific. So that's why try to add more information to the graph as soon as possible. And now it is clearly visible that this graph belongs to undamped oscillation and the upper graph belongs to the damped oscillation. So that provides you the more clarity to the reader also and the grader also. So this thing, kindly please be aware of this thing. Okay, so these are particular graphs which we have plotted, and let's try to go with my favorite, that is color mesh. We will try to implement some graphs which is known as correlation based graph, that is heat map. So anyone knows what is a particular heat map? What is heat map? I mean, anyone can define heat map? Ever anybody used earlier?
I've used them in eye tracking, but basically it's a visual that overlays particular areas of interest based on color. So like a really important area of interest would be bright red, and like cooler colors would be for like less important areas.
Yeah. Same thing, but in your project, you are going to use it for with related to correlation. So there will be you have to be the data set will be provided, and you have to check that which attribute had more dependency towards another attribute. So its values lies within the range of -1 to 1. So -1 stands for that there is no or less dependency on another parameters. Zero stands for independent independent dependency. I mean, there is no independency on this particular thing. And one is like these are completely mapped over each other. These two are completely mapped over each other and has 100% dependency. So this is used to retrieve the patterns from the data set for earlier insights what we get from the user. So we will try to plot this thing over here, and it's also known as color mesh. So I am trying to plot layer by plot, and so I'm trying to retrieve some libraries over here. So this will be from matplotlib dot colors import boundary form. So it from color. So what we have extracted, we have extracted parameters known as import boundary form. So boundary form is used to get colors in the range from particular for like an example, if I provided 0 to 1 is only for red color, 1 to 2 is only for green color. So this is the use of boundary form in particular. Okay, so next thing I will import matplotlib dot ticker. Import And then at the end, our usual import numpy as np. So here, maximum n locator is the function which we are using to locate the maximum values in the one array. Okay, again there is some problem related to boundary form. Oh wait, it's typo. Boundary forms, not boundary. Yeah, whatever. Then we will try to get some random integers over here. So for that, I will take np random dot set values 1, 5, 4, 4, 3, 8, anything. It's a random value. We are just providing a range to it. Then we will try to variable declare a random value, a variable z, and we will try to get some random values. So random dot rand in the range of 6 to 10. Then we will try to take y. So it will be uniformly distribute the variables on y-axis. np dot a range minus 4.5 comma x is equal to four. So we have declared the random value and we are trying to execute the function as well. So the length will for the y function will be 11 and the length for the x function will be 11 and for the y function it will be 7. And then we will again take those two variables x comma ax is equal to period subplots, and then we will try to declare this in the proper color mesh that is used for color. Oh yeah, this color mesh, and we will iterate three variables x comma y comma z. And let's see what problem we got. Yeah, again errors. So we're getting some sort of error over here. I think I have taken maximum value over here. Yep, it should be minimum. See, so this way you can plot Matplotlib also using quad mesh. It is also known as quad mesh, and because it is from 4 sides. So basically the values are very hindered over here, but you have to use correlation in the project. So this is the major deal you have to do. So -1 again, it's completely rely on three values: -1, 0, and 1. 1 stands for maximum correlation between two dependencies. -1 minimum, and 0 stands for they are completely independent to each other. So in this way you can go for mesh also. Now what we will do, we will try to make two mesh out of it. It's already 5:30, so let's do one more and finish this thing once. So now I'm trying to convert the graphs using some convert this graph using some another face. So we have variable faces like rectilinear faces and non-rectilinear faces. So I'm trying to look with another axis, or we can say like at the bank angle of 45 degree or 20 degree, to analyze it with different perspective. So for this, I will write the code, and it will provide us a particular different region. Same code, but some with different values. Same values with some different angle for this. It will be look this color match will be look like completely different on a tilted angle. So np dot a range is equal to minus 0.5 comma 10 comma 1. Similarly, y is equal to np dot a range 4.5 comma 11 comma 1. Now I'm declaring x comma y to make a mesh grid, which is used for tilted angles, and np dot excuse me, x comma y, oh, smaller one, and to y, because we are doing like this because we are trying to tilt the coordinates. Just a minute. Yeah, sorry. And similarly, we will give you for y is equal to y plus 0.3 into x. P color mesh. Yeah, maybe get some issues. Oh god, ELT, it's plots. And see, you can see that this is a tilted graph. So what is the major difference between this thing and this thing? Now, suppose you are not getting proper correlation values over here, and you want to tilt at some bank angle like 30 degree or 45 degree, and you want to analyze only this part, which is in which the values are greater than 6. So this bank angle will be helpful to understand the relation between the angle and the value. So as soon as the greater the angle, the greater the value. You can see by this position that it is directly proportional to the value. As the value is increasing, suppose at 0, there is no minimal distance. So the white region is increasing and up to the 10, which is the maximum over here. So you can see, so in this way, basically you can plot all the mesh plot graphs and this thing. And in alternate to Matplotlib, if you are not comfortable, you can also use Seaborn libraries also, but it is easy to find the code which is more suitable to the particular libraries. So Matplotlib is the, I mean, default option. But if you have like you want to be more graphs more attractive or more informative, then you can try for Matplotlib also. Also, if you want to have any doubts regarding this in any time in some sort of plotting and everything, so you can mail me at office hours and to Shanky also. In this way, we will come to the end of the session. Thank you guys for attending this particular session. If you have any questions or any doubts, you can ask.
Thank you. I have no questions, but thank you for doing this. Appreciate it. It's been very informative.
Yeah, and over this, have you started over your assignment part? I mean, your project part.
No, we're gonna have a session about that following this
Yeah, following with this session. So make note.
tutorial.
Yeah, you make notes, proper notes on what Shanky is going to, because he is trying to give some hints over the particular project. And if you have any doubts related to using Python and Python libraries or related to plotting graphs, so you can mail me in the office hour, and you can just randomly mail me. I will definitely going to help you on that thing. So if you have any doubts again to like, so thank you for listening to me. be bearing me for like 1.5 hours. Thank you. Now I have an midterm exam, so I will leave now. It's 5:40. You can join another link for Shanky. So thank you for that. Thank you everyone.
Good luck on your exam, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.